The flowers were never just flowers. They were whispers of grief, petals of memory, laid at the curb where Sarah's car spun out, where Tommy's bike fell, where lives ended and a town's heart broke. But the Karen of Karens, Marjorie Wells, HOA president with a clipboard and a vendetta, called them clutter. She banned them, citing neighborhood aesthetics. And in doing so, lit a fuse that would burn Willow Creek to its core. It started innocently enough. Willow Creek, a sleepy suburb with cookie-cutter lawns and white picket fences, was the kind of place where disputes usually revolved around unmowed grass or loud barbecues. But when Marjorie, with her peroxide blonde bob and a smile sharp enough to cut glass, pushed the HOA to outlaw memorial flowers, she didn't just step on toes, she stomped on souls. The rule was simple. No flowers, candles, or mementos at accident sites. It's about property values, she said at the HOA meeting, her voice dripping with faux sympathy. We can't have our streets looking like cemeteries. The families didn't take it lying down. Sarah's mother, Ellen, a soft-spoken baker who hadn't raised her voice in 50 years, was the first to snap. She stood up at that meeting, her hands trembling, and said, "You're telling me my daughter's memory is a blight? You're telling me her life was clutter?" The room went silent, but Marjorie just pursed her lips and moved to the next agenda item. That was the moment Ellen decided to fight. Word spread like wildfire. Families who'd lost loved ones: Tommy's dad, Mike, a burly mechanic with a heart of gold; Aisha, whose brother died in a hit-and-run; and old Mr. Callahan, whose wife's memorial roses were ripped out by HOA enforcers banded together. They called themselves Families United, a ragtag coalition of the grieving, fueled by rage and love. They met in Ellen's bakery after hours, plotting over coffee and day-old scones. "We're not just fighting for flowers," Mike said, his voice rough. "We're fighting for our right to remember." The HOA doubled down. Marjorie, backed by her loyal council of busybodies, sent out fines to anyone who dared leave a daisy or a candle. She hired a private security firm to patrol the streets, yanking tributes from curbsides. One night, Aisha caught a guard tossing her brother's photo into a trash bag. She screamed, lunging at him, and the video went viral on X. The hashtag Willow Creek Wilted trended for days. Public outrage grew, but Marjorie didn't budge. "Rules are rules," she tweeted from the official HOA account, adding a heart emoji that felt like a slap. The tension boiled over at the city council meeting on a muggy June evening. The chamber was packed, standing room only, with Families United at the front, clutching photos of their loved ones. Ellen held a framed picture of Sarah, her smile frozen in time. Mike carried Tommy's battered bike helmet. Aisha wore her brother's old jacket, the sleeves too long but comforting. Marjorie sat at the council table, flanked by her HOA cronies, her face a mask of calm superiority. The mayor, a spineless man named Harold, looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Ellen spoke first, her voice steady despite the tears. "These flowers aren't decorations. They're our way of saying our kids mattered. You can't erase that with a rulebook." The crowd murmured agreement, but Marjorie cut in, her tone icy. "This isn't about your feelings, Ellen. It's about order. If we let everyone turn our streets into shrines, what's next? Statues? Billboards?" Aisha shot to her feet. "You don't get to decide how we grieve," she shouted. The room erupted cheers from the families, boos from the HOA loyalists. Harold banged his gavel, but no one listened. Then Mike stepped forward, his massive frame looming. He didn't yell. He didn't need to. "My boy was 10, he said, holding up the helmet. "He rode his bike to school every day. Hit by a drunk driver. You think his flowers hurt your property values, Marjorie? Tell me, what's the value of a kid's life?" The silence was deafening. Even Marjorie faltered, her manicured nails tapping nervously. But she recovered, leaning forward. "I'm sorry for your loss, Mike, but rules apply to everyone. No exceptions." That's when it got ugly. Someone nobody knows who threw a flower. A single daisy, wilted and sad, landed on the council table. Then another, and another. Soon, the air was thick with petals, a storm of grief raining down. Marjorie shrieked, ducking behind her clipboard. Harold called for security, but the guards hesitated. Half of them were locals, their own families in the crowd. Aisha climbed onto a chair, holding up her brother's photo. "This is who you're erasing," she yelled. The crowd chanted, "Let us grieve! Let us grieve!" The meeting dissolved into chaos. Families united refused to leave, linking arms in a human chain. Marjorie and her allies fled through a side door, chased by shouts and camera flashes. The next morning, the story was everywhere: local news, even national outlets. Small-town HOA bans memorials, sparks uprising. One headline read, "Families United became a symbol, a beacon for every community suffocated by petty tyrants." But the victory was short-lived. The city council, under pressure from Marjorie's deep-pocketed allies, upheld the ban. They cited legal precedents and community standards, words that felt like knives to the families. Ellen's bakery was hit with a fine for unpermitted gatherings. Mike's garage faced inspections that mysteriously found violations. Aisha's family got an eviction notice from their HOA control department. The message was clear: fight us and you'll pay. The final blow came quietly. One night, under cover of darkness, the city sent workers to clear every memorial in Willow Creek. Flowers, photos, candles gone. By dawn, the curbs were bare, as if no one had ever died, as if no one had ever loved. Ellen stood at Sarah's spot, staring at the empty pavement. Mike joined her, then Aisha, then Mr. Callahan. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Their silence was louder than any protest. Families United didn't give up. They moved their fight online, sharing stories and photos, keeping the memories alive in pixels if not in petals. But the town was never the same. Neighbors stopped speaking. Friendships ended. The HOA's grip tightened, and Marjorie's smile grew sharper. Willow Creek, once a place of community, became a battleground where grief was a crime. The families lost their flowers, but they found something else: each other. In their shared pain, they built a bond stronger than any HOA rulebook. They vowed to keep fighting, not just for their loved ones, but for every family told their grief was clutter. It wasn't justice, not yet, but it was a start. What do you think? Should a community have the right to dictate how we honor our dead? Is public grief a right or a privilege?